Welcome to Inspiring Teachers, a show bringing you classroom tips, motivation, and stories from successful educators. Join Tavis Bean and Danny Hauger as they explore the why of teaching.
Welcome to Inspiring Teachers. I'm Danny Hauger, and I'm here in the last episode I'm going to record in the classroom all year long, episode 142. And I'm here with my student teacher. Did we come up with a name? Miss
Legarda.
Miss Legarda?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to ask you where that came from later, but that's awesome. I'm here with Miss Legarda, who's been student teaching with me for a full semester, 4 months, 3 months, almost 5 months. And I just thought it would be cool for us to recap this year, which was really historic. Like, no one had ever seen a year like the one we just saw. So I'm going to ask her some questions about what it was like teaching first at home exclusively on Zoom, then in hybrid, and then some days with only students in the classroom. So we're going to go over that today and just kind of digress and debrief the year and see if we can come away with any tips for us for the following school year, takeaways that can be transferred to the fall. Before we do that, I want to thank our friends at ampeduplearning.com. At ampeduplearning.com, you can save 10% with promo code HaugerHistory10 and pick up resources for any type of classroom at any grade level, from English to social studies to science to math, activities, project-based learning, and all sorts of like get out of your seat types of stuff that can help you in your fall planning of your classroom. That's ampeduplearning.com. And don't forget to follow them on social media at ampeduplearning for their giveaways and freebies. So yeah, Miss Legarda, thank you so much for joining. I'm just going to ask you a few questions. I'm going to swing the mic towards you and just kind of see what your thoughts are, because we had kind of a unique experience that you came on board for student teaching in this spring semester 2021. And tell me like what your thoughts and expectations were about teaching in general. Like, why do you want to go into teaching, and what you thought it would be like teaching on Zoom?
Well, first, I did not really know what I was going to do when we started the spring semester, because of the whole pandemic. Everything was kind of up for show because everyone was doing their own thing in different districts. So I didn't know what to expect when I first met you. But the Zoom was interesting. Thank you for providing me all the information needed, because that was really important, because I had no other communication with this district other than the HR lady who helped me find you.
Yeah, first couple days I didn't even see you in person because you were moving and like the webcam was off because there was just boxes as like the moving process is. What did you think of class when it was exclusively on Zoom? What was it like, and how is it different than what you expected it to be?
It was very different from what I expected, because I wasn't sure how you were going to function in lesson full on online. So when I first entered Zoom, I turned off my camera because I wasn't sure if you want to introduce me or not. And all the students, it was kind of interesting that there's a mute button for students now. So that was really interesting. And I saw the students, they were paying attention to you, which was my major shock, because I've heard horror stories from other teachers that I knew telling me they didn't get the students to get their camera on, and they just could not get any class to actually participate by talking, which was the only way to get any participation from the students that whole year.
And as it went on, like, what surprised you? What do you think the best part of that session was? And what was the worst part? Best, worst, and what surprised you?
The best part to me was when you were able to talk with the students and gave them the chance to speak in the middle with a certain topic, and they were actually talking with you about it. They were able to actually participate because they were actually paying attention. And I think the worst part is there are the ones who don't show their cameras, because there was sometimes half the class or a third of the class that were not on like showing the camera or being completely mute, and they didn't really ask any questions. And I found like they were the ones that were struggling the most.
Up until spring break, or a little past spring break, and then we came back.
A little bit past. Yeah,
a little bit past. And then we ended up returning for about a month and a half or 2 months of the school year.
Almost 2 months, but basically only a month.
Yeah. And so then we were in a hybrid model where we had half class sizes and managed the kids online at the same time. I think most people told us when we reflected this week, as we asked them like to tell us about the year, a lot of students spoke about how it was better than not being back at all, but the seniors felt like they didn't get the year that most students did, and it wasn't the same. That was a pretty common theme. With the return to hybrid, where did you think the best part, worst part was, and how did that deal? You must have expected certain things. What was different there?
I was expecting. Okay, that, this would be better. Okay. I was expecting more participation, or at least some form of like normalcy, considering what a classroom is supposed to function as. But luckily, though, I think a lot of students were really wanting to get engaged again, so they were talking more in class. But I feel like what was the weakness of the hybrid model was the fact that you either try to get students on Zoom and class both together, but you feel like you're not really focusing on all the students all at once.
Yeah.
That was like the major difficulty. As much as I feel like we tried, it still feel like we left some people out.
Yeah, thanks for the thoughts there. I could see where that was. It became a different effort to get everyone involved. Instead of doing it all in one place on the computer, now we're trying to do it in two places at once and still keep everyone else interested. So those were great notes. How about teaching in general? Do you feel like when you get into a classroom in fall, were there anything that you learned this year? What are some things that you learned that you think are transferable and will still be valuable versus some skills have that you may never use again? Like, hopefully you'll never have to manage hybrid again, but what are some of the takeaways that you'll carry with you as you go?
I feel like the one thing, despite the technological issues, I feel like the Canvas model and using online platforms really helps students to basically find the information on their own and really encourage them to find research, because that's a huge college-based learning platform they need to know. And I feel like this year it really enforced them and forced teachers to find a variety of sources for them to research that's related to the content that they're learning. And they actually were very interested on it. I found like the students' interest was the main key to keep students focused on this year. So
it makes a lot of sense. And hopefully over the summer, you're going to find your first job. What are your hopes and like aspirations for, like, what's your ideal situation look like for fall? And then what are you hoping will happen? And like, what are your thoughts in this stage of the process? Because I remember feeling many things like all at once, kind of swirling and just hoping to land somewhere and have some kind of certainty. Like, so what's going through your thought process as you get ready, Miss Legarda?
Well, Legarda, but
sorry, I got your name.
It's okay.
After 5 months, I still got it wrong. Go ahead.
Well, my main goal right now is really just to get hired. Now that I'm basically going to be done, I am waiting for my test results at CTC, and it won't be coming in until later next month. But my main goal is just trying to find a job, try to get settled, and really trying to establish a classroom setting. Because this next following year is going to be really difficult for students to come back to normalcy. Much as they are prepared, I feel like they really didn't experience it yet. And after being switched from fully online to hybrid to like whatever the district had decided for them in the past, it's going to definitely affect how they're going to learn. And the only other thing really I'm only nervous about is how I can use what we adapted into a full-on lesson. Even though I learned how to create a variety of options for activities for students for one lesson, I feel like it's like a time management is the next key. Because this whole hybrid lessons, they were cut in half from like original timing. From like what's supposed to be almost 2 hours, it's now only an hour, and now we have to learn how to get back to 2 hours again.
Yeah, okay. So many moving pieces and parts. I'm sure you'll figure it out. You've done a good job adapting to everything we've done, and you've probably done a better job than veteran teachers who are not used to having to change everything they do, because you were like, well, this is just new, so I'll just figure out what works best and go with it. That kind of flexibility is going to help you out a lot. So what was your favorite moment or a couple of moments that you think will stand out from the past few months?
I have a few. One was the very first one. I was very nervous, but I created a huge lesson for them to learn that was focused on the content, and I really appreciated how students knew that I was brand new, but they really enjoyed the fact that I was showing them something they'd never heard of before, and they were actually very kind, and respectful to encouraging me to keep going, you're doing fine, just keep going, you're telling us a really good story. And I'm like, okay. And the next one was one of my last lessons, where I showed them I do a Kahoot game because I wanted to change it up a bit from just a basic lesson about China's revolution and China's civil war. Like, let's make a Kahoot game. Who got banned this year? Who got banned for like forever in life? And they enjoyed it to the point where one student called out, "Can we have more of this? Because this is actually entertaining. I did not know this person got banned." So
nice. Yeah, when they're asking for more and giving you great feedback, those are great indicators that things are going well. So good memories to hold on to. Well, I'm grateful for all the time you put in this year, and it made this year a lot more memorable for me, or a lot more enjoyable for me to have somebody to always be there and talk to through the whole thing. So thank you for that. And as well as gathering up so many cool student thank you notes. I'll just read one really quick. Got like 25 pages of these. Thank you for doing that. It's just always great to read student words. We'll leave you with this one, and then you can take your conclusions from this episode as to what are some things that you did learn that are transferable. Maybe make yourself a short list of 2 or 3 things to carry into the fall with your goals. So this one says, "Hi, Mr. Hauger. Thank you so much for all the time and effort you put into teaching us this year. I know it has been hectic trying to balance distance learning as well as staying safe during COVID. You, however, have done an amazing job this year. Even through my computer screen, I've always had fun and looked forward to this class. I cannot thank you enough for making these times a bit more bearable. Enjoy your summer, and hopefully I'll get to see you next year." And I think that's a perfect way to leave it, because I hope we're all trying to find a way to make things more bearable for students, and in lessons, as you said, more interesting, adaptable, and make them want more learning. Like that, you're doing a good job when you have that result. So that's where we'll leave it for today. Thanks so much for joining us today. Appreciate it.
thank you so much for having me.
And until the next week, we'll see you. And if that means you get a break over summer, just make sure you stay liked and subscribe to this show on YouTube and on Podbean. Thank you, Podbean, for the bandwidth. Thank you, AmpedUpLearning.com. And we'll see you on the next edition of Inspiring Teachers. Enjoy the summer, everybody. Danny Hauger here for Tavis Beam, saying we'll see you next time. Class dismissed.